Unlike ghost towns in the central or eastern United States, many of which were drowned by dam projects, Oregon's settlement extinction cycle was shaped by extreme geography and brutal economic forces. In the Pacific Northwest, it stands as a silent witness to the end of the gold rush boom in the East and the massive exploitation of the timber industry along the coastal mountains. This demographic crisis continues today. Highway closures, natural disasters, and severe geographic isolation have triggered a mass exodus of working-age residents. This video takes you through 15 locations in Oregon, ranging from towns that have become complete ghost towns with frozen architectural remains, to several modern small towns now entering a critical phase, moving toward administrative extinction due to massive population loss. First, let's visit a fairly well-known ghost town. Located in the dry lands of Wasco County, Shaniko holds a reputation as one of Oregon's most famous ghost towns. Founded in the 19th century, the town once enjoyed extraordinary prosperity as the wool capital of the world, operating as a major railroad hub that shipped millions of pounds of wool across the United States. Its death came almost instantly when a new railroad line was built along an alternate route that bypassed the town in 1911, crippling its entire economic transit function. Today, Shaniko is a quiet, open-air museum. The site is defined by the still intact wooden Shaniko Hotel, the old city hall, a small wooden jail, and rows of antique cars left to rust beside dusty roads, creating the image of a western town frozen completely in time. From the remains of wool prosperity, we move to the peaks of the Blue Mountains in Baker County to a place called Greenhorn. Sitting at 6,306 feet above sea level, this town holds the identity of Oregon's highest elevation ghost town. Greenhorn's current physical condition is isolated in dense pine forest. You will find only a few partly collapsed log cabins, stone-based building foundations, and giant hydraulic mining equipment covered in moss. According to historical records, Greenhorn was born in the 1860s after miners discovered massive gold deposits in the surrounding hills, triggering the growth of a crowded mining settlement with dozens of saloons and town facilities. Life in Greenhorn ended completely when the United States government issued Limitation Order L-208 during World War II, banning non-essential gold mining and forcing the entire population to leave within months. Still in the Blue Mountains region, there is Sumpter, a town that grew into a highly modern gold mining town in the late 19th century, complete with its own railroad line and independent power plant. The town survived a major fire in 1917, before slowly dying after the gold deposits in the riverbeds ran dry. The most massive and iconic visual marker in Sumpter today is the Sumpter Valley Gold Dredge, a giant multi-story gold dredging machine now stranded stiffly in a dark bluish-black pool of water. Combined with rows of empty old wooden commercial buildings in its historic district, Sumpter presents a strong visual contrast between the remains of harsh mechanical industry and the silence of the mountain wilderness. From the giant iron structure in Sumpter, a dirt road leads us to a remote timber settlement that now feels completely isolated. Yes, this is Whitney, a town founded as an operations base for timber companies, the Sumpter Valley Railway, and the Oregon Lumber Company in a fertile valley near the Blue Mountains. During the early decades of the 20th century, hundreds of workers lived here to manage the shipment of raw timber cut from the surrounding forests. The town was completely crippled and abandoned by the 1950s after the timber railroad shut down and logging operations moved to other areas closer to modern highways. Today, Whitney feels haunted. Several two-story wooden houses stand crooked in the wild grass, with loose metal roofs and hollow windows, showing the natural decay of a settlement cut off from civilization. Next, we move to the western coast, where a ghost town lies buried beneath beach sand. Bayocean in Tillamook County holds one of the most tragic extinction stories, caused by human engineering mistakes and aggressive natural erosion. Founded in 1906, this place was designed to become the Atlantic City of the West Coast, a massive luxury resort with a 5-star hotel, a huge indoor heated swimming pool, and hundreds of vacation cottages. Today, all that can be seen is total emptiness. Not a single building remains standing. The once luxurious town complex is now only a barren, quiet sand spit, constantly struck by powerful Pacific waves. Its death happened catastrophically after the construction of a jetty at the bay entrance radically changed ocean currents, triggering extreme beach erosion that ate away the sand cliffs where the town stood. One by one, homes, hotels, and paved roads collapsed into the Pacific Ocean until the last building fell in 1971. Meanwhile, along the middle fork of the John Day River, there is a town called Galena. It was originally founded as McDuffie during the gold rush era of the 1860s. The town was later renamed Galena, referring to a type of lead-silver mineral, and served as an important stopover for miners and ranchers in Oregon's interior. The town died gradually as mining activity stopped and the local post office closed in 1943, leaving behind a settlement area with no functioning economic pulse. Today, Galena is marked by the Galena store, an old wooden general store with a faded sign and boarded-up windows, surrounded by rusty wire fencing and several empty wooden cabins collapsed into the brush along the river. Leaving the empty store in Galena, we head toward a remote protected area. Hidden deep inside the Opal Creek wilderness, Jawbone Flats is a former mining settlement built by the Amalgamated Mining Company in the 1930s to extract zinc, lead, and copper from this isolated river valley. Commercial mining ended in 1992 when the land was donated to an environmental conservation foundation, turning the town into an education center before it was fully emptied after a major wildfire swept through the surrounding area. Jawbone Flats has a unique character, rows of 27 wooden cabin buildings preserved in their original condition, complete with old 1940s trucks and tractors left parked beneath the green, damp canopy of the Pacific Northwest rainforest. This town has a different story. Hardman, often nicknamed Yellow Dog, was once a vital stagecoach transit town in the Inland Morrow and Gilliam County region during the 19th century. It served the commercial travel route from the port of the Dale toward the mining areas in the east. Hardman's fate ended quickly when transportation shifted to railroads and the tracks were built dozens of miles away, bypassing the town and making its role as a logistics stop irrelevant. Its town center today shows a gloomy rural ghost town landscape, a large 2-story stone school building with a leaking roof, an isolated wooden church, and rows of general store buildings with classic front porch architecture and doors chained tightly shut. From Hardman, the journey moves south to Jackson County and brings us to the remains of one of the oldest colonial towns. Founded in 1851 near the mouth of the Little Applegate River, Buncom now has only 3 main wooden structures still standing at a quiet dirt road intersection: the old post office, the wooden general store, and a miner's house, all beginning to lean from natural wood decay. Long before it became what it is today, Buncom was born from the first wave of hydraulic gold mining in southern Oregon, before later transforming into a busy trade center for farming and ranching goods. Buncom lost its population in large numbers after mineral reserves ran out, and the decline worsened when its official post office closed in 1918 because of urbanization toward towns with railroad access. Today, Buncom's visual condition is extremely fragile, but still iconic. Golden is also a sociological anomaly in the harsh culture of America's gold rush. Founded in the 1840s as a religious gold mining town, its founders strictly banned the construction of saloons, liquor shops, and gambling halls within town limits, something extremely rare for a mining settlement. The town was completely abandoned in the early 20th century after all the gold in Coyote Creek was exhausted through placer mining. Today, Golden is managed as a state heritage site. The scenery here is dominated by a wooden church with a small bell tower that still stands intact, an empty one-room church structure, and several wooden residential cabins surrounded by wild trees and faded wooden fences. From fully dead historic ghost towns, we now shift focus to small towns that are still active but struggling against population exodus and signs of urban death. First is Antelope, a place that is difficult not to discuss. Located in Wasco County, it is an inhabited small town constantly standing on the edge of administrative collapse. The town experienced extreme sociological trauma in the 1980s when followers of the Rajneeshpuram cult took over local political power on a massive scale, triggering a major exodus of original residents. Although the cult has long since collapsed, Antelope never managed to rebuild its demographic structure. Today, its population has shrunk sharply to fewer than 30 people, most of them elderly. Almost everywhere, Antelope now looks extremely quiet and resembles a dead town. Its main paved road rarely sees vehicles, the local business center no longer functions, and rows of 20th century homes stand empty with yards covered in dry weeds, showing strong signs of a town running out of time. Moving toward the isolated rural region of Wheeler County, Fossil holds a unique status as the administrative seat of Wheeler County. However, this small town is now facing a chronic population decline caused by the collapse of traditional agriculture and the death of the local sawmill sector that once powered its economy. The mass loss of young residents has left Fossil short of working-age labor and caused various public commercial facilities to close. The view along Fossil's downtown district shows clear signs of stagnation. Rows of early 20th century red brick commercial buildings, bankrupt business signs hanging on walls, and streets that fall completely silent outside school hours, reflecting severe economic vulnerability. Then there is the small town of Wallowa, located in northeastern Oregon, and a clear example of the destructive impact of the timber industry's collapse in the Pacific Northwest. This town originally prospered because of several giant sawmills that employed thousands of local workers. When federal environmental regulations tightened commercial logging and the last timber mill closed, Wallowa suffered an instant economic collapse that triggered rising unemployment and falling local property values. We can see the wide abandoned remains of the old mill complex, with rusting iron smokestacks, rows of empty timber worker houses sold cheaply with no buyers, and a quiet town atmosphere. It gives the impression of an active industrial town, now transitioning into a modern ghost town. Leaving the Wallowa Valley, we return to the dry highlands, specifically Harney County, where an isolated small town struggles to survive. Fields is a tiny settlement on the edge of the Alvord Desert, whose administrative existence is threatened by a population that has fallen into the single digits. The town depends on one multi-purpose building complex that serves as a gas station, diner, and post office. The absence of medical infrastructure, a high school, and modern jobs makes it almost impossible for the town to attract new residents, putting it at risk of total extinction once the remaining older generation passes away. The visuals are also extreme. It is surrounded by a vast, flat, barren desert landscape beneath the Steens Mountains. The lone wooden field station stands quietly amid desert dust winds, creating the image of a fragile final outpost of civilization, threatened with being swallowed by emptiness. To close this story, we move to the northeastern border to see an agricultural town that lost its railroad role. Huntington in Baker County was once a busy and vital freight railroad transit hub on the Oregon-Idaho border, with a massive rail depot complex, classy hotels, and a nightlife district packed with railroad workers. Today, Huntington's face is filled with troubling post-industrial scenery. A 3-story red brick hotel in downtown stands empty with part of its roof collapsed. Rows of old wooden houses sit abandoned with broken windows, and the railroad tracks at the edge of town, once loud with activity, are now only passed by freight trains that never stop, confirming Huntington's status as a small town dying toward total extinction. This town is moving toward death, slowly and gradually, after the railroad company modernized shipping routes and closed the city's main depot, made worse by the closure of the local limestone mine. Huntington lost most of its population and is now trapped in a severe social and economic crisis. It may only be a matter of time before the town is erased from history.